How old are you now?
How old do I look? Don't look that great.
I'm pretty sure you guys are early 30s.
40.
Get out of here. Are you really?
Are you being genuine?
Get out of here.
Cheers.
Cheers. No, I swear to God, I thought you guys were somewhere between 33 to 35 or 36. I knew that we were around the same age.
How old are you?
I'll be 37 in a couple months.
Yeah, I'll be 41 in October.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then so we good? Yeah. Good. All right. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Spill the Beans. Today I'm sitting down with David Hughes and his wife Katie Marie Hughes, and they are real estate investors out of Florida and have done a lot of amazing things in the single-family space, getting into the multifamily space. They also do a lot of coaching. They have like a ridiculous 7-figure coaching group as well, and just a ton of insights. Not only do they have a ton of insights on the investment side and the financial side of things, but their relationships dialed in, their health is dialed in. They're, I don't really believe in balance. I think balance is kind of BS, but I think, having harmony in your life and making sure that you're not neglecting any one thing, whether that's finances, health, relationships, spirit, like whatever that means for you. And they've done an amazing job of keeping everything in harmony. So I'm going to ask them about a lot of that stuff, including their real estate business. And I think you guys are going to get a ton of value out of it. So let's go sit down. All right, David and Katie Marie, welcome to Spill the Beans.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers. You guys came up from Sarasota. I know you guys left some really warm. I was actually down there last week, visiting one of my good buddies, and gorgeous area. I was telling him, I was like, if I moved anywhere in Florida, it would be Sarasota. It's got everything you could want. So, beautiful area. But how you guys liking Charleston? Have you guys been here before?
It's gorgeous. I've only been here once before, and it was for like a long weekend, and it was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Got to do some running and cycling, and yeah.
I don't think I've been here before, but
and you guys are quick in and out, dude. You guys got to come back.
In and out. I know
So
what to come
quick.
back.
We're gonna come back.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys filmed an episode of Legacy Wealth Academy, right? Or your master class for Legacy Wealth Academy, and I think this will air right around when we put that out, right? So let's talk about that. So first of all, let's go into your business. What do you guys do? What does your business look like? I know you guys do a lot on the single family BRRRR side, but talk a little bit about your background.
Yeah, definitely. So before we've been married 7 glorious years thus far, and have Gabriel the Great at home. This is our first time actually away from him.
Get out of here.
He's 10 months old, so.
Oh, man.
So yeah, we're in and out, back to see him and hang. But so yeah, before we met, I was just one of those things, just maybe similar to your journey. Like I just made a decision years ago where I wanted to live on the other side of money, where money was working for me. I wasn't working for money, so I'd have the time freedom myself and my future family to just pursue all of our dreams, all the desires of our heart. And really we believe life is meant to be lived with no limits. Any limits are, we believe, self-imposed. And so
100%, man.
So that really sent me on the journey of seeking out people who had what I wanted, which was the time freedom, financial freedom, because growing up in my household, I had amazing parents. I'm the oldest of 3, had amazing family and siblings. But in the area of the finances, it was really bad. There was a lot of stress, strain, struggle, lack. My dad battled depression on and off for years. So he wouldn't work for years at a time. My mom, was waiting tables, doing whatever she could to keep food on the table, a roof over our head. To where the point, actually, when I was 27, my dad took his life, and my sister was 11 when that happened. And so that was a tragedy of tragedies that hit our family. And so, but God's good, man. He definitely carried us through that whole crazy thing. But that even deepened my resolve of I don't ever want to be in that place with my future wife, family, having financial stress in the marriage, the home, and then not being able to say yes to opportunities, the life experiences.
Do you think that's, and dude, I know nothing about this, and tell me if I'm off base, but do you think is that like a mental struggle? Like regardless of how much money he would have had, he would have still had that depression? Or do you think it was exacerbated by the money side of things, or do you think it was caused by the money?
It was definitely a combination of elements, but for him at the core, for sure, it was chemical imbalance and those things, no doubt. I mean, he was actually diagnosed with extreme bipolar, and he was the most amazing man I'd ever met as far as his love for God and people, but he literally had that mental sickness to where he was when he was actually out in motion doing things, he was the record breaker and sales guy and all that, and people loved him, and so, but then he wouldn't do anything for years at a time, and so it was this literal bipolar thing.
Yeah.
We didn't even know what bipolar was until years later. My mom, the doctor told us, she's like, yeah, that's what I've lived for 30 years. It's been this higher highs, lower lows. But so with the dynamics of that, the money part of definitely compounded what was already there because of that.
Adds another layer of stress for sure, man.
The stress, just the self beating himself up. I'm not providing
lack
for my
of
family.
confidence, right?
All that.
Yeah.
So kind of the nutshell of that for my story was just like, again, I didn't want to be in a situation where money was either limiting or dictating the decisions of what myself and my family could do or experience in life, and so, but in my family tree, I didn't have anyone anywhere that I could see modeling financial freedom, or having a life full time with money overflowing for them. And
so, like, where do you find that positive influence on the money side of things?
Like, so for me, I sought out, mentors, people who had what I wanted.
Through what, social media or just asking around?
Actually, back then I probably wasn't even on Facebook. I was a late adapter.
Right.
So yeah, just like I was reading books. I started reading books, and I remember when I got out of college. Actually, my last semester in college, I saw a book. I was like, what am I going to do? She laughs. I say I have a bachelor's degree and master's degree, of which I use neither in life. A lot of time and money, but
every time he gets me to giggle. I can't not do it. Like, it's so good.
It was the life professors.
Yeah.
It was the life professors of life. People who had the life that I want to say, hey, teach me. My dad said, just be coachable, teachable. Find somebody who has what you want, and just follow what they do. And so that's what I did. Like I started reading books. I read. So my last semester in college, I'm like, what am I going to do when I get out? I bought these two books, Rags to Riches by Russ Whitney and a Rich Dad Poor Dad Real Estate Riches book. And I read those and I was like, man, like, this is simple. It makes sense. Like, if you can play the board game Monopoly, anybody can do this. So that's what sent me down the real estate path. When I got out of college, I started seeking specifically someone who had the real estate
So this
knowledge.
is what, early 2000s then, right?
Graduated from college
03, 04?
in 04, end of 04, yeah. So then, basically,
So you're in the heat of the real estate market,
Yep.
right? And you're excited about real estate.
Yeah.
And you find are you down in Florida at this time?
No, I was in Kentucky for 27 years. We've been in Florida, Sarasota, Florida for the last 5. We went down on vacation, never left, which the flexibility and freedom of real estate, live anywhere. So yeah, I just started really learning the market, getting a mentor who had knowledge, who was an investor, and who took me under his wing, and he showed me, and I just followed the steps, and next thing you know, it turned into financial freedom pretty quickly. And by my late 20s, I was doing it very part-time. I was doing insurance.
What kinds of deals were you doing?
Well, I was just doing little
side.
single family back then. Actually, the first property I bought, because I got out of college in 04, but then even though I had read a couple real estate books and the seed was planted, I was kind of getting my bearings on what I was going to do. And so it was actually 2008 when I bought first property, which we still own today. And it was a bank repo. So I started buying, in 08. So I bought a lot of bank repos, single family houses at discounts. And it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, dude, it's amazing. It's hard to look at the market today and think back of what it was like, because I started buying in the beginning of 2009, and it's like it's hard to move quickly on a deal today because you still think about pricing from 7, 8, and 10 years ago, and you're like, oh man, that would have sold for $80,000. Now they want $350,000, and you're like, but it's just a new normal, right? Like it's the values have gone up, and they were so deeply discounted back then. It wasn't realistic, the prices, and it was stealing properties, in a legal way, right? They wanted to get rid of them. There just wasn't enough demand for the supply, so prices dropped. So, what does your business model look like today?
Yeah, so we got married. Fast forward, that was 2008. I started buying. So when we met and got married in 2015.
Katie Marie, where are you from?
Michigan originally.
Michigan originally?
Michigan, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then where'd you guys meet?
So, you might not know this story.
I don't know.
It's a little crazy.
I don't think you do.
I don't think I do.
But so I was wondering where my wife was for my whole life. I was 33, and I was like, God, you forget about somebody down here. What's going on here? Like, and long story short, the nutshell of it was like we literally, fifth night on the phone, we had talked for 5 days on the phone, no FaceTime actually. And the fifth night on the phone, we compared our lives to each other, decided to get married. Just crazy divine confirmation, signs, wonders.
How did you meet though initially?
Well, so I had heard about her a year prior. I knew, because I ran into this lady in the gym. This was a whole divine orchestrated thing, because literally there's just no other way. And so this lady I hadn't seen, she's like, hey, I hadn't seen. She's like, oh my gosh, you got to meet this girl, Katie Marie, I met. She starts going off all these things. She's an author, speaker, singer, songwriter, awesome Jesus-loving girl, all these things. And I was like, she literally just, and I was like, wow. I was like, that's awesome. She said, hey, I met her on this crazy divine appointment. And I was like, well, she sounds amazing. I said, I'm actually dating somebody right now, so, I'm not going to be meeting any girls. And so anyway, I'd known about her for a year since that time, right? And same for her, she knew about me for a year because she told her about me. So then anyway, after I'd actually gotten out of that dating relationship, and then I was doing some business things with real estate and insurance, and actually just God put on my heart to start this ministry. And I was like, well, if you want me to start this ministry, you're gonna have to show me where to put it and who to lead worship, for this ministry. And literally, I was just praying, and I don't know how many days later, her name popped in my mind, Katie Marie, because I had known she was a singer, songwriter, worship leader. And at the time that I found out about her, she was actually only living 20 minutes away from where I was in Kentucky. And so, again, long story short, the nutshell of it was that her name popped in my head. I was like, oh, Katie Marie does music. Maybe she can come do some music to help get this off the ground.
Never met her before.
Never.
No, I just heard about her.
Never
Heard. We knew about each other for a year, and then, but I had no idea what God had up his sleeve.
You're sitting on the edge of your bed, looking at your phone, waiting for it to ring, and this guy never friggin' called for a year. Hey,
yeah,
for a year.
Oh. I can't even tell you how many times I thought about him, and God would just put him on my mind, and I was like, yeah, but don't you remember,
She thought I was her husband for a year.
When I found out about him, it was really strong. He was every attribute that I had asked for, and I had 6 pages of
detailed
requests.
Yeah, no
I was
joke.
I'm pretty sure this is my husband, and here he is just dating another girl. And so, literally for a year, I just prayed for him and would let him go, and then I ended up moving out of Kentucky, going back up to Michigan. I hadn't lived there in 9 years. I had lived all over the country doing music. And then, of course,
2 weeks later, after you moved back out of the blue,
2 weeks
phone
after
ring,
I moved to Michigan,
or Facebook message.
We were 20 minutes apart
Right.
for
3 years.
I lived in Kentucky in this middle of kind of nowhere.
It's the universe saying how bad you want it.
It was literally Monday morning. It was 5/18 of 15. I'll never forget it. It was Monday morning. I was about to present insurance to several hundred employees. I was an Aflac agent, and Katie Marie's name popped in my mind. So act on the promptings, right? Act on them. So I did. I was like, Katie Marie. So I met Facebook. I said, hey, I'd like to talk to you about some worship opportunities if you don't mind, your number. We ended up hopping on the phone that day. So that's how the origin started. But then we decided to get married, and I actually ended up proposing to her 40 minutes after meeting her in person for the first time ever, with a ring and everything. Married 19 days later after meeting in person.
Get out of here.
So there's a lot more details to the story. There's a documentary and a book coming about it and everything, but just God's amazing, man. When we get out of the way and let Him take the lead, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So what was it like coming into the real estate side of things?
It was so incredible, and I was raised by 2 super hardworking elementary teachers, and my mom had actually first become a teacher, and my dad was working in banking and was just really kind of raising up the ranks there. But once they started having children, I have 2 older brothers, my dad just wanted to be able to travel. We've always been a traveling family, and so he went back to school, got his teaching degree, and so they were both teaching, and getting to experience summers with my parents was the bomb.com. I just got so addicted to it, and getting to travel. And so my family has always been interested in real estate, and my parents had actually purchased a small cottage next to them, and they got tenants in place, and I thought that was amazing. But there was always this gap. I just never knew how I could do it. My brothers were interested, my parents were interested. And so when David came into my life, I was all ears, and I was just so excited. It was such a humbling experience walking into day one into this incredible, income producing portfolio of properties. And so I just started listening to every single thing that he said. And at the time, he was coaching people just kind of out of the goodness of his heart, helping people get started in real estate. And then, it was just clear that people really needed what he had to offer. And so he actually did a round table kind of call every single week, and I was kind of in the back scenes of that and just listening. And then we just launched this coaching program, and I had been listening for so long, and so we started teaching together, and it was incredible. And us finding success is awesome, but being able to help other people achieve so far beyond their dreams, be able to retire from, their 9-to-5 job, something that they're not passionate about, for them to be able to show up for their spouses and their children and just be able to pursue the call that God has on their lives is everything.
Well, you guys lead with value, right? And because you help enough other people get what they want, it obviously comes full circle. And that's what I think a lot of people don't realize. They go and chase dollars. It's not chasing dollars. It's chasing helping other people get what they want in life. And it always comes full circle, right? It always comes full circle and comes back to you. Not just you get what you give, you get many times what you give, right? And so it's like, when you understand that, it's like, how much can I give? I was on a podcast right before I came to meet with you guys. And they're like, man, like, don't give us the secret sauce, because I was like, listen, I give you everything for free on my podcast and this and this and this. If you want it organized, like all in one place in a process map, then yeah, come. But like the reality is, I give as much as I possibly can, and people can take it and leave it and do whatever they want. But the more you give, the more opportunity. It's like, man, if this guy gives this much for free, can you imagine how much he gives if you actually pay him, right? Like,
yeah, well,
and that's what you guys have seen. Yeah.
That's the answer to the abundant life. So really, I think as humans, we've become, we're masters at complicating the simple, right? We get in our own way, we're the bottleneck to our own business, all these things that, you talk about and teach and really, but it's that simple. That is really the answer to the limitless life, is that we're meant to live. I mean, like you just said, giving as much. You look at a tree, I mean, when it gives, right? The apples or whatever fruit falls, it didn't give and get back the same number of apples. I mean, it gave and got infinite rate of ROI return on orchards. Nature tells us, this is how life's supposed to be lived, but scarcity mentality, fear, lack, competition.
You drop a single apple, it plants a seed that grows a tree that creates hundreds of more apples every season,
There's more than enough for everyone, and we love what you do, and thanks for having us, and here you are, giving value, taking time to do this and sow your time into other people to know that our message is the same as yours. Like, if we can do it, you can do it, and anybody can do it. Yep. And for me, on a part-time basis, turning $12,000 into millions of dollars worth of real estate and the passive income and everything else, on a part-time basis, like it's because it's simple. It's just a matter of knowing, having the steps and the process, and anyone can do it. So that's what our message is.
Yeah, for sure. So primarily you guys do the Burr method, right, with single family rentals.
That's been the majority. We've flipped some properties along the way, but the majority is buy and hold rental houses. And of course, now with you and your mastermind, it's amazing. So we're excited about getting in the apartment space, and we're actually been looking at deals and have some deals in the pipeline, but not yet. We don't currently own any apartments. We have Airbnbs and long-term rentals in the single family space right now.
Tell me, if somebody comes to you and they've never done a deal before and they see this and they say, I want to get into real estate, right? I think the best place to get started is, some combination of what you guys do and what I do, right? Like
100%.
Maybe my stuff's a little bit too big, at least for a newbie, but you can take a lot of the concepts that I teach and the concepts that you guys teach in order to do single family, duplexes, triplexes, an 8-unit, a 6-unit, right? And but to buy something, maybe raise money on it from partners, syndicate it, get a fee up front, so you take some upfront money, and then you have equity in this thing that kicks off cash flow, you got depreciation, you got all the other things. That's kind of where my head is. If somebody comes to you and says, Kate and Marie, David, I've never done a deal before, how do I, because you guys do a ton of coaching with people who have never done a deal, right? Most of the people that I coach have been in the business or at least done a few deals, right? If they come to you, what's the first thing that you work with them on? And how do you, because you guys make a guarantee of, if you don't do a deal within 12 months, we're going to coach you for another full year. Not if you don't do a deal, if you don't make 5x your return on investment, right? So that's a profound guarantee that you guys make, which shows that you're in this to make sure that they make money, not only make a return, get their money back, but make many times that. So if somebody comes, how do you diagnose their situation? How do you help audit where they are right now and set them up for success moving forward?
100%.
What does that system, that process, those steps kind of look like?
Well, that's what we love about you and what you do. It's so synergistic, like you said, even though the majority of our students are brand new, a lot of them have zero knowledge or experience of real estate investing, but they know that it's a proven, powerful vehicle that can take them from where they're at to where they want to go. So they say, okay, that's no problem. We'll meet you where you're at. We'll take you down the path. we actually have 5 steps, just like with what you have, and at the core, as you talk about a lot, it's the mindset. You know, that's really everything.
Especially for newbies, man.
Yeah.
Like that's a big hurdle
for newbies
initially.
even more so, because the mental shift.
When they come to me, they already you guys have a great mindset, right? Like that's really, that's a hard shift. And you guys being able to coach somebody on that, like, speaks volumes to your patience, first of all, and your ability to convey new thought principles. And to get somebody who's been, brainwashed was a word, but I don't want to say that, but like programmed in a way for their entire life. And then to be able to reprogram them in a span of a few months or a year, dude, that's a big hurdle to help them overcome. But I agree, like, that mindset piece is really difficult.
So that's number 1 of the 5 steps. It's thinking, sourcing, assessing, funding, and maximizing, which tie in right with what you
Love
teach.
it.
And so the thinking part, you know, everyone comes in with their different, unique, either limiting beliefs or just money thoughts around money, you know, debt.
Yep.
Versus leveraging, versus investing, saving, you know, and so we bring light into that situation and say, hey, have you ever thought about this? We just make them aware, really.
Yeah.
We make them aware of different perspectives and things to think about money and opportunity and how to leverage money, how to leverage debt, how to leverage equity, how to leverage other people's money, other people's minds, processes for their benefit to acquire income producing properties. And then when they see that, they're really freaked out with excitement because it changes their life. And they tell us, they're like, we came here for real estate investing, but it radically changed our life because the mindset shifts that they gained about themselves, about money, about what they're even capable of doing. So that's always the core, is meeting them where they're at and saying, okay, these are the limiting beliefs you got to shift. Here's the new beliefs. Here's on a practical level what you do to move forward. And then giving them a simple, proven process to follow as far as sourcing properties, sourcing people to source properties for them, and all the practical real estate side of things. But having the right mental shifts to move forward properly in that.
Yeah. The whole concept of being able to use other people's money to do deals is mind-boggling for people, right? Like, there's so many people who are like, hey, I've saved up $50,000, $75,000, what kind of property should I buy? And in my mind, if you come to me and you tell me you got 75 grand, I know what you're thinking is, oh, okay, well, this could be for 20% down on a $300,000 property and this and that and all. If you have a certain amount of money and you think that's what you have to invest, it constrains you. Like,
totally.
you're
That's a
limitation
limitation in and of itself.
Big time.
Big.
You're only thinking about $300,000 deals.
What can that get me?
I would rather you come to me and say, I got no money. Great. Because the opportunities are limitless.
Exactly, they are.
Now, where can we go and find money? Who can we raise money from? Because it's a low-hanging fruit. That's a shortcut if you have your own cash. And it limits your ability to think at a big level because you're only thinking about this small tranche of money. Right? And it doesn't matter how long you've been in the game or it doesn't matter how big pile of cash is. Like, you will eventually run out of it if you want to do this at a large scale, right? So it's like you have to go out and learn how to raise other people. I would rather see somebody take that $50,000, go into a coaching platform, join a mastermind group where they learn how to go out and raise millions of dollars. And they learn how to go out and raise capital, structure a deal, and go and buy a multi-million-dollar deal where all of a sudden now their 1 or 2% acquisition fee is $150,000, right? That's going to be a better return, is getting the information and getting the education on how to go out and raise more money. Don't worry about taking that little lump sum that you've saved and putting it into a property. Use it for education. Get in the right rooms that you can raise money from the right people or learn how to raise money from other folks, where you can source deals, right? And there's always going to be another level of hurdle, obstacle, whatever that pops up. Being in those rooms help you just punch through those glass ceilings over and over and over again.
100%. And really, to me, that's the bullseye nail on the head to everything, is that we tell people you are the greatest investment opportunity of all time, every time. So, but we're programmed opposite.
And you know what I hate about it is, like, you have coaching to sell, right? So of course you would say that, right? I have coaching to sell, so of course I would say that. But it's not. I don't say it because I coach because that's what I did.
Exactly.
That's what got me.
You're paying it forward.
Because that's what works.
Because that's what got me to where I needed to be. Because I paid for the coaching.
Yeah.
And I'm so passionate about it that I'm like, you just freaking write a check, get in the right rooms. That is the secret to fast tracking your success. That is the only way to fast track your success. Get in the right rooms.
Well, that's the mindset shift, because for me, I invested years of my life and tens of thousands of dollars for college degrees that have been, monetarily speaking, in the real world marketplace, like of zero value that I know of.
It's actually debt.
Well, yeah, it's
For
actually
sure.
negative zero. But so, you know, but the mind shift that people, that's been acceptable and commonplace for people for decades, right?
And it's expected,
to stroke
you know.
yeah, parents to stroke a check, whatever, for tens of thousands of dollars, whatever, to go learn something.
What is it now? It's got to be like $100,000
Well, yeah.
minimum
Easily.
now,
I mean,
right?
easily.
100, 150. I don't even know what it is, but
But think about this though. You're we've invested to be in. We're in your mastermind as a
Right.
student, and so you're a product of the process. You're a lifelong learner and student. You're always investing in yourself. We always are. We have multiple coaches. We're going to always do that. So it's not, even if we didn't have anything to sell ourselves as far as coaching and mentoring, we would still preach the same message. Teach us like, you need a mentor, because that's
Agreed.
what got us to where, if you really want to know, like that's what got us to where we are and where we're going, are the coaches and mentors and us taking action on their leadership. So that is the answer, but it's opposite and contrary to what we've been told and thought and trained our life. But you know, and so when I look at it, it's like, well, people don't bat an eye about dropping tens of thousands of dollars in years of their life to go to college to learn stuff that they most likely are not going to use in the real world,
to make
or
$30,000 to $40,000 a year.
Exactly.
that, or this.
versus I don't know, 12, 15, 20 grand on a mastermind that can make you millions of dollars a year.
Because in the mastermind, the normal
it's
is
a
making
fraction of the
millions
amount of
dollars.
money and
Exactly.
a multiplicity of 10, 20, 30x of how much money you can make.
Right.
so
That,
true.
and here's the other factor that I know we share passion points on this, is that in college, I'm learning concept and theory. This guy teaching me marketing class that I'm paying time and money to be there, he's never marketed in the real world.
read it in the
He's
book.
not a marketer.
Exactly.
He's regurgitating information to me. Now, of course, he's helping break down the information, all that. That's okay. But still, there's the difference people need to know that changes the life big time is the difference between the types of knowledge. Experiential knowledge, which is
Yep.
what you're here giving
That's a
people.
great point.
Experiential knowledge, there's no debate or argument around it. Like, no, you're proof positive all day, every day of what
Yep.
you're talking about. We say, wait, there's a lot of things we don't know, but what we do know is for sure. It's certainty. It's not a maybe so, hope so thing. It's a proven process. It's certainty. Just like the pilot that flies back and forth, he can do it blindfolded successfully because he knows. He knows.
Yeah.
So that's experiential knowledge of what you bring, what we bring, of what a true mentor brings. I believe is experiential knowledge. Concept and theory to me is the maybe so, hope so, in the certain context and theory, maybe. We don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see how it works out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in the experiential knowledge, that is like the bedrock foundation you can build. If you're going to invest your time and your life onto something, like, we're not promised tomorrow, how precious is life? Like, I want to do it in something that's going to work and last and be a legacy. If something happens to me, my family's forever taken care of. You know, how important is that?
And to
Wild.
do it arm in arm with someone who has gone before and has found success in that area. I mean, it really is mind-blowing to me that so many people that are teaching, you know, the next generation went to school to learn exactly what they're teaching. They didn't learn it out in the real world. And if you take all of the top athletes, the top performers, every single one of them has high-level coaches, mindset coaches. You know, I mean, you take like Michael Jordan. How many coaches did he have? Like 8?
Yeah.
For all the specifics of his game. And so it's so strange because our society just thinks of performers and athletes, you know, as like the top of the top, the celebrities. Well, they're the ones that have actually figured it out and they've hired the coaches to get the success that they're looking for.
Why would you need a coach in sports and not need a coach in business or finance
Exactly.
or relationships or in health or in anything, any other facet? How come you only need it when you're out there playing sports? And you know that the highest level performers in the entire world are hiring multiple coaches.
Yep.
It's not a secret, guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's
right out there in front of everybody's face.
there's a cheat code. You just hire coaches, right? That's how you get to that next level all the time.
100%.
So, all right, switching gears, and I want to kind of, we talked about your relationship a little bit. You guys have been holding hands the entire time, obviously looking at each other's eyes. I want to know, what is it like working with your spouse, right? Ups, downs, what were things that were hard to work through, and how has that helped you guys in your marriage and your relationship?
It's amazing when you're with the right person. You know, it can be the most terrible thing and the most awesome thing, I think, for us. because, you know, we were willing to wait and not settle and really just seek God for the best life partner. The greatest investment of my life is here all day, every day. And, you know, and then our child after that and everyone after that in the order of things. But we're together pretty much all day, every day. We own multiple companies that we run together. And, you know, from our home, we have our 10-month-old. And so for us, our vision, what's important to us, and it's unique and different for each person, but for us and what we do, we both had that desire and we're cut out for that. And we know that's not for everybody to work together. But for us, we do our businesses together. We do, pretty much everything we do together.
Do you feel like, well, here's, like, I remember early on, like, my wife is not involved in my businesses. I was like, well, I want like a home life, and then I want talk about business. When I come home, I just want to hang out. I'm sure you guys talk about business all the time, right?
We don't.
But you don't?
Boundaries. Boundaries.
Yeah,
well, and at the same time, it's something that's passionate for both of you.
Yeah.
So it's okay to talk about it too, right? Because it gets you both excited about where you can design your life to go and how it's going to feed your lifestyle, right?
Because for us, the topic is our dreams, right? Our dreams, our goals, our life.
And here's how we're going to do it. How many people do we need to help?
Doing it, but we've still set the boundaries in place where it's like, hey, we don't want it to consume our life.
Yeah.
We don't want it to be where it's like, even though, you know, a dream can be a good thing, I think it can consume you too. Like, right? People who have a dream to be bodybuilding, all of a sudden now it becomes their idol, and they're can't have relationships because they're so fixated, nothing's ever good enough. And so it can't be, there's that sweet spot between, you know, the spectrum of, okay, we're gonna have boundaries in our life to where we can focus on.
What do those boundaries look like?
For us?
Yes.
It's really a time we set a pretty hard and fast, like we're done by 5 p.m. We try to always, now we definitely
more. Obviously you guys do some coaching calls and stuff later on and
Yeah.
on certain days of the week and all that stuff. But specifically on those days, you're saying, hey, phones off, computers shut down, right? We're going to go and spend time with Gabriel and go and hang out, go do a family dinner, or go walk in the park.
Beach, walk.
And it's important for us, you know, like so many people talk about having a balanced life. And when we heard someone actually say it's impossible to live a balanced life, like you can't ever be balanced. You're always counterbalancing.
You're always out of balance.
And so we do a lot of different things where, you know, we'll have a live event or we'll have a 5-day challenge where we're definitely way more leveraged on the work side. And so what we do right after that is we counterbalance to make sure that we're taking that time to just grow our relationship, to be with our son, all of those things. And so I would say, like, when we were first starting to work together, because we're so passionate and we're like the male and female version of each other, like most couples are kind of like
I was going to ask, are you guys both like, have you ever done a DISC assessment?
It was the exact dots on the chart laid over each other. They've never seen anything like it. We have one of the top 10 Master Disc certified guys in the world is a friend of ours. And so we went through his thing and we did it blindly, came, and every dot, not just the same personalities, but the literal, he was like,
behavioral types and everything, really?
Yeah, so it's just the crazy thing.
So, you know, with us being so similar, it's actually a huge blessing because we really understand each other. And so we do give each other that freedom. You know, like I just started a YouTube channel about 2 months ago, and there's times where I need to meet that Wednesday upload. And so David will stop what he's doing. He'll take care of Gabriel. He'll do whatever he needs to do to cover me for the thing that I'm passionate about. And I do the same thing with him. And so, you know, when we were first working together,
I think having that awareness of what the other person,
that
you know,
communication.
Like, here's what I would want in that situation, right? Because you guys are so similar, it's you know, in some ways easier to have that awareness, I guess, than somebody who has totally two opposite behavioral types. Because somebody might want something, and it's not, you know, it's like treat others how you want to be treated, or treat others how they want to be treated. You know what I mean? They're a little bit different.
Because for me, I didn't know, like, I knew we were both passionate, so I would work. To me, work is play. We do what we love to do. When we choose to do it. We don't have to do it. We get to do it. We choose to do whatever we do in designing our life. And so for me, but what my actions were portraying early on in our marriage was like, hey, do you care, like quality time? I was like, yeah. So then through communication, I learned like, hey, this is where we're going to do. So it communicates to you that you are number one before businesses and everything else. And our marriage is but how do we structure it in a way that we can be fully present in everything that we're doing, and it be still fueling and each other,
And if you think about it, the whole world is our playground, right? We can go wherever we want to go, pretty much any country, anytime. But at the end of the day, we come back to the boundaries of a home. We come back to the structure, and that's what we're all in, is real estate. We offer that home to other people. And so we think about the world as our playground, but then there's also a time every single day when we come back into a boundaried, structured place that's safe. We lock our doors and our windows, we have an alarm system, and we protect the boundaries and the precious things that are within, David and Gabriel and me. And so we don't allow you don't just allow intruders in your home when your children are sleeping. And so why do we allow that in the boundaries of our relationships? And
in communication, through text messages and Facebook messages, throughout all days, hours of the night, right?
Yes. And so we've just continuously really tried to be as fluid as possible. And if one of us is feeling like, maybe phones are kind of taking on a little bit too much presence, then we'll just talk. And it really is all about communication. We're both really big on communicating, but I don't think that you can over communicate. I think most people under communicate, and that's where miscommunication comes in.
And assumptions fill the gaps.
Yeah,
for sure.
So we just make sure.
And assumptions are always negative.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so
always,
bad.
every single time, it's always negative.
Yep.
And that creates a bigger gap.
Yep.
So what does that communication look like in your guys' household?
It's just a constantly flowing conversation, really. And
so there's no like build up. There's no passive aggressiveness. It's like if something doesn't sit right, let's address it.
Yeah.
Right? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and we're both big on, if there's anything that either one of us are feeling, we just want to get to it right away. Like, don't sweep it under the rug and that kind of thing. And just making sure, that we always remember that our hearts are for each other.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. We're not against each other.
Yeah.
It might feel like it right now. I've done something stupid, didn't know it, or didn't mean it that way. But I'm for you and we're together, so how can I learn from how it made you feel and do it different?
It's powerful, yeah.
And I think one of the mindsets that is the most powerful is that we've always known that we're on the same team. We've never had a competitive spirit against each other. If he wins, I win, and if I win, he wins. And that really is seriously everything, because I know so many couples, whether they realize it or it's subconscious, they're just competing, and they
insecurities,
don't. And also, they may not feel protected by their spouse, but I feel very protected, very heard, and so I know that I can cover him, and I know he's also going to reciprocate that to me. So it really is just all about always having that open door policy when something's going on, but also having that fluidity and understanding that, if David is really trying to do something, maybe look at the time that I'm coming to him and read his demeanor, see if it's a good time, and if it's not, bring it up at a different time. I mean, that's really so important, rather than coming in like a bull in a china shop and it's like, I'm not getting this and I'm not getting that. I think people just need to be so much more self-aware and really be thinking of the other person more than themselves. And just like you were saying, when we just give this insane amount of value for free, then people are like, oh my goodness, like I want everything that Tim does. I just want to be around him. That's really the same thing in marriage. Like when I'm constantly trying to give everything that I possibly can to David, then that makes him want to reciprocate. And it's kind of an ever-flowing kind of situation.
And I'll say that our marriage is
great insights.
Yeah. So powerful, baby. I can say that our marriage is more amazing than I ever knew marriage could be. And I say that with that I've made a lot of mistakes in 7 years of marriage and hurt her unintentionally, and having to learn the communication piece, the different things. As every husband, we've just we hurt the ones we love most, not meaning to, just because we don't know until we get to know, through being humble enough and willing enough to learn the different approaches, So that's what, for us, our heart set and mindset is: we're for each other, we're going to hurt each other, not meaning to. And how can we learn and grow and improve and build the strong foundation?
And
and for our children to see parents who love each other, respect each other, honor each other, support each other, and whatever that looks like in the different homes, is a huge thing. Talking about legacy, legacy. That's.
And if I could share just one more thing about assumptions that you had touched on, I heard such a powerful just understanding that somebody brought to me. Children make zero assumptions. Like, they come into this world with two fears. Every other fear is learned, and they don't assume anything. Like Gabriel, our little 10-month-old, when he was first learning to crawl, he immediately wanted to pull himself up on everything. He didn't know that if he fell and hit his head, it was going to hurt. He made zero assumptions. And it was really just through learning, he started making assumptions like, okay, let me just kind of protect myself, curl into a ball so I don't hit my head. But adults make assumptions all the time, like 300 assumptions a day. And if we go back to becoming like children, then we can,
without any substance, without any like validity to those assumptions, right?
Yes, exactly. Then we can build those new pathways to our mindsets, to our behaviors, all of those different things. And so you can even take it to like road rage. When somebody pulls out in front of us, what's the first assumption? Oh my goodness, I can't believe they did that. There was nobody behind me. Why did they do that? Maybe they didn't see us. And so we've really been trying to make as few assumptions as possible, because it just creates really like so much more of that abundance mentality. And like, hey, if they needed to get out in front of me, then they needed to get out in front of me, but I'm not going to allow that to affect me. And I think just the fewer assumptions we make in life, the more we become like children, and they're definitely the most joyful ones.
Yeah, for sure. As we talk about assumptions and assuming things, reminds me of a Save the Bell episode.
Love Save the Bell.
Zach Morris, right?
Yeah, and so the teacher gets up in front of the room, and Zach Morris like, I assumed this or whatever, and the teacher gets up, he writes assume on the board, all right? He goes, assuming makes an ass, underlines ass, out of you and me.
Oh, that's good.
It's really good, right?
Wow.
So,
that is really
and it's so
good.
true, right?
Yep.
So less assumptions, more open conversation, just having that self-awareness. And I love what you said about just give value, not just to a bunch of strangers on social media, but give it to your spouse, give it to your family, and that will be reciprocated many times over.
Well, one of the things, 100%, what's one of the most valuable things anyone can give? Attention. Right? So many times our spouses may be starved for attention, or our children, because our attention is pulled everywhere now more than ever, And so it's just easy to give value. We just need to be more conscientious and intentional, it's what.
And it really is about giving the best of ourselves to our spouses and to our children instead of the rest of ourselves.
The leftovers,
because so often,
of our
even
energy
in coaching, the things that we're passionate about, how much of the best of ourselves are we giving to all of these other people outside? And then we get that one-on-one time and we're drained, we're exhausted, we don't really want to talk. And so just trying to create a life where the most important people and the most important things are right there at the top, and then everything else filters through, because you can't give out of an empty well, and you need that perpetual well flowing. And if you're not continuously pouring back in to the people that are actually pouring into you, then you just don't have anything to give. You can't be a good coach, you can't be a good entrepreneur, you can't even be a good person just in society.
I love it. I think like this is the stuff that actually matters, right? Like we get on here, we talk about real estate, but unless your cup is full on all these different pillars in your life, what else matters, right? And especially this one on the relationships. Relationships are the gift of life, right?
100%.
If you don't have good relationships, and what else you got, So, no, really powerful. Didn't expect it to go in that direction, but just hanging out with you guys, engaging with you guys, seeing how you guys engage with each other. I think it's something really important that we haven't talked enough about in this, and you can see why you guys are having so much success on the business side of things, because the home life is dialed in, right? It's squared away, and you guys know what's important and where the real priorities lie.
Well, for us, true prosperity, not what maybe the world defines as success, but true success is prospering from the inside out. Not the fake stuff from the outside in, because, and we know a lot of millionaires, multimillionaires, billionaires even, we've been around that are really miserable and empty inside and unfulfilled, and don't, because it's been that backwards living of, if I just get this, if I just make it to the next level, I'm going to find happiness. And it's not, it's the opposite. And so in the realm of real estate, like, what is the realest real estate? It's body, soul, and spirit. It's right here. It starts with me, because I can want to be a great spouse, husband and father and businessman and all that, but that means nothing if I'm not taking care of myself first. And self-care, the real estate here, body, soul, and spirit, my heart set, my mindset, so that I can be more than what I can be right now. I need to be learning, I need to be growing, so that I can carry out in real life being a better husband tomorrow than I am today, and learning and growing, a father and a businessman and a leader and helping people. So to us, that's the core focus of real estate, is the house that God built. You know, He knit us together in mother's womb. So like, this is the house that God built. So if I take care of that, and this house of marriage and that institution and our family, the abundance, the only thing that can happen is true prosperity of peace, love, joy, impact on other people's lives, because our life should be the living message before we ever open our mouth. To me, if we're not a manifestation of our own message, then it's one of the worst things, hypocrisy. Like, what are we talking about?
Yep.
I don't even want to talk. If there's nothing meaningful to say that's backed up by a message that's lived out in action, that people can see something different. Like, I want joy and peace in my marriage and a thriving best friend and all this, or kid. I want financial freedom, whatever that is they're attracted to about our lives. Like, you know, living that message and not just talking, because anybody can talk, but it's you know, about that integrity of the fruitfulness, you know.
I love it. I'll tell you what, this has been a hugely impactful episode. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for not only like our business relationship, but our friendship. Appreciate you guys coming to Charleston. I'm excited for all the impact you guys are making. I'm excited for all the lives that you guys are changing, and just to grow together. I can't imagine where we're all going to be in the next few years.
Exactly, man. And thanks so much for having us. And you know we were going to say this, but I definitely want to let everybody know, whoever watches this, that like what you're doing with the Legacy Wealth Academy, like, to me, anyone, we've been around a lot of different groups and communities and coaching, but with what you're doing with that platform, and your whole team is, like, I just think anybody who is interested in learning from people who are really doing it and building wealth and building true legacy, like, it's one of the best things going. So it's a no-brainer. I mean, everybody needs to be in that. Your mastermind's amazing. We'll be with you out in Denver coming up.
Yeah.
So thanks for all you do. Thanks for having us. We're excited to continue collaborating in all the different ways we can to help each other, help more people, and that's what we're here to do. So,
well, cheers to
Cheers.
health, happiness, and prosperity.
We spilled the beans.
That was amazing. Tons of value from David and Katie Marie. Just not only great real estate investors, but just amazing human beings. So I'm excited that you guys got to meet them, connect with them on social media. If you know what they said resonates with what you have going on, and you want to connect with them on the coaching side of things, please do reach out to them, shoot them a message. We'll share their contact information in the show notes as well. So until next time, see you on the next episode of Spill the Beans.